the top of the real estate market attractiveness ranking. Relative currency stability, low inflation rates, and lower construction costs helping those other markets stay ahead. Joining us now is Dr. Oyeleke Ajiboye, MD and CEO, Efficacy Construction Limited, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, sir.
So how would you describe demand in the real estate sector in Nigeria, in 2023, seeing the level of inflation, currency devaluation, and also a squeeze in disposable income? How would you rate demand?
Well, I think our population still plays a major role when it comes to demand. However, the purchasing power of the average Nigerian has been drastically reduced. A lot of people don't have the kind of income they had. What their income now can give them is relatively lower because of the inflation, because of the credits available now, the high interest rates in the bank and all that. So demand will still be there, be driven by population, but to a large extent, affordability is now what is zero. There's no longer affordable houses. People still want to have a house. Housing is a security in Nigeria. The demand is there, but really the purchasing power is missing.
At this point, we talk about looking at the, supply side. We also know construction cost, according to this report by Estate Intel, said high construction costs in Nigeria is a major issue right now, about $1,700 US per square meter. And that's high, compared to other countries right there. So how are developers, managing to, navigate this issue of construction costs and not passing it on? Because at the end of the day, they have to pass it on to the consumer.
Yes. Well, I think for me, a lot of developers are developing faster gray hair now because sadly, sometimes you have, especially when you do off-plan sales, when you do off-plan sales, it's very difficult to pass on the cost because there will be no variation. And so to a large extent, there's a lot of problem in the sector now when it comes to developers. A lot of them are struggling to develop. A lot of them are struggling to deliver, and then it's not something that it's not something that they created by themselves, but it's the economy. So to a large extent, everybody needs to now look at backward integration. What else can I do to make this system for me? But when you look at developers generally that are turning out houses, actually to a large extent, in the last 6 months now, housing development has gone down drastically. FMBN have not been giving out mortgages, so people can't access mortgage. So that also eroded the ability of people to buy. And you also don't want to go and get a loan from the bank at 25%, build a house, and you can't find the buyer. So there's a lot of mix into the transaction now. Both parties are suffering it. The developers are going through a lot of mess. The subscribers who are having issues taking delivery of their house. And this is also inch on the state of the economy.
And now we're seeing analysts forecast that, at the first meeting of 2024 for the MPC, that's the MPC committee meeting, they're expecting the central bank will raise rates again by about 500 basis points. That's a jumbo rise there. So at the end of the day, it's still the battle to tame inflation at this time. And seeing what the CBN has done so far, it's still that tightening stance that they have. So looking at it, how are you developers, positioning, for 2024, knowing fully well that rates are still going to go up? Hello, Mr. Ajiboye.
Yes, sir. I think I lost you at one point there.
Okay, yeah. So I'm talking about the forecast now. We're seeing analysts forecasting that the central bank will raise rates in the first meeting of 2024. That's next month, by at least 500 basis points. And rates are already high, as it is. How are you developers positioning for 2024, knowing fully well that rates will still go up?
I think the safest thing for developers in real estate to do now is to just forget about affordability. Real estate is now looking like it's only just for the rich. So property ownership, building is now looking like if you can't afford it, just leave it, because now everybody has to go back to the drawing board. What you can afford, what you can sell for 30 million naira is no longer going to be 30 million. It's now maybe 60 million times two. But we now see a lot of people also now going into purchase of land and all of that, just to edge against inflation. But in all of these things, one has to still be careful. Developers has to go back to the drawing board, look at their numbers. As inflation is biting in, all fees are going up, labor rates are record high, material prices are record high, government charges on tax, duties are all record high. So there is no way real estate to be lower. Real estate is just going to become more expensive.
And also, and talking about, trying to hedge at this point, we know, diaspora investors also like to, look at Nigeria's real estate sector. But it seems there's some kind of trust deficit, at this time, because, when you're out there, abroad, you have to trust somebody here to help you, make these real estate transactions real. But how can, diaspora investors be protected, while still, investing from abroad?
Honestly, I think for people that wants to invest in real estate, the kind of due diligence you do for any business you want to put your money is the same thing you should do in real estate. Because in real estate, you can easily lose your money like this. And at the same time, you can actually get 100%, 1,000% on your money. So as much as possible, we've said it over time. I like some steps that Lagos State is doing with Lacera, meeting with EFCC, criminalizing people that bring in fake documents, sell fake papers, and all of those things. These are things that will add credibility to the industry. As much as possible, if you also look at Nigeria's real estate, is something that a lot of developers suffer a lot of things because it is the society where we find ourselves. So I'll give you an example. An investor abroad buys a government land. If he buys a government land, government allocated land in a government scheme, which should be zero peace of mind. And after paying all fees, finding it difficult to take possession just because somebody have gone to sell government land. So all of these things, and I like the fact that Lagos State has land grabbers office also to address such issues. So those things there are society problems that affect the profitability of real estate, from fake papers to selling lands with different land use. If your land is for residential, you go and sell it for commercial, you have problem. You will not be able to get a building approval for residential on it. If your land is for agriculture, you go and sell it as residential, you have a problem because you cannot build on an agric land. There's a minimum square meters you can build on agric land. If a land is also meant for forestry, if you sell it for residential, it will remain a forest. So these are the things that will lead to issues and loss of investment and investors' confidence when it comes to diaspora remittances, buying into real estate in Nigeria. So I think the due diligence has to be well done. And I also hope that the Nigerian Bar Association in Lagos will come in also to work with Lacera as much as possible and kind of will look for a way to penalize lawyers that do agreements on fake title documents or title documents that they know are not legal.
And talking about such lawyers, if how do they? Because when it comes to regularization of title documents, you go to the you go to Alausa and you do your search, then you find out if that land is actually legit and something you can actually invest in. But talk to me about the due diligence from the lawyer's perspective there. Why are they not carrying out the process as should be?
Okay, so I mentioned lawyer because I have a present situation at hand. I bought a land from Lagos State government, a government allocated land with C of O 2020. After buying the land, surprisingly, an estate, a lot started hindering our ability to take possession of the land. And somebody wrote to us claiming that he has 4 plots inside that same land and he's a lawyer. And he did a deed of assignment and he's using third party or moneyless layout to say you have a land on government scheme. Is it that as a lawyer you did not know that you are supposed to go to Lands Bureau to go and check the title, go to Surveyor General's office to go and chat it, go to NTDA to go and confirm if you need to confirm, go to your environment, these are the 5 agencies that top notch you have to visit to validate whether your land is in a good place, is not on canal, is not on road. So if a lawyer goes ahead and buys such a land, drafts such a contract for a third party or somebody in diaspora, and you say that you have sold a land or you have transacted on a land, that lawyer should actually be questioned. What is the title of this land? There are procedures of obtaining title in Lagos that are straightforward. Is either you get from the Lagos State government directly, which is direct allocation, or you get a governor's consent, or you buy from somebody that have already gotten a C of a governor's consent, or through a gazette or excision.
Right, definitely. We're having some network issues there with Mr. Ajiboye, but I don't know if you can still hear me. Mr. Ajiboye there was talking about, getting properties regularized and title documents. Mr. Ajiboye, so I lost you for a bit there, but if you can hear me, talk to me about, when it comes to transfer of ownership and, getting your titles, sorted. Looking at Lagos State at this time, because we've had complaints from investors about how long it takes to, get some of these titles, getting a transfer of ownership, and all of that. Has the process improved in Lagos State? Is there some kind of automation, being talked about or being, used at this time?
Well, as a practitioner in the sector, I can say that there's electronic CFO now. However, there's still a lot of bureaucracy. From getting a governor's consent to getting your CFO, to building approval, everything is a Nigerian factor. It's not just Lagos State, it's a Nigerian factor. Is the problem with society values that you must be able to do this, you must rub somebody's palm, you must knock one door, you must know somebody to get your paper done. Otherwise, it's just going to gather dust. And before you know it, your file will be in KIV. So there's a lot of bureaucracy on that, truly. But I know that the permanent secretary of land is really working on that. The last permanent secretary, the present one, they are looking at ways to simulate it. And in this process also ensure that they knock out people that are coming in to do fake papers. I almost fell a victim a couple of weeks ago. Somebody was to sell a land for us for an estate. It had original CFO. We went to Lagos State government. We got 3 certified true copies for different purposes to do our search. Everything until we went to one of the 5 agencies I mentioned, entity, was when we got there, they spotted the difference in the title and said this thing is not legit. So imagine me as a developer falling victim of buying a land that is fake CFO and I did not know. Imagine what the third party. These are the things that I think government is trying to work on. That's why the bureaucracy is so much, because there's so much fake documentation out there that you really need somebody in the government to identify and tell you this is fake, this is original.
So what would you say is the fastest way to identify a fake CFO?
Well, I can't identify, but like I said, you have to go through all those agencies. From lands, the lands will check the title documents. They will look at everything. If I ask for the file, see all the processes from go to NTD. NTD will check if it's from them or if it has anything to do with them, if they have an approval. So the general will chat it that it's not on somebody else's land, it's in a free area, it's not committed. You go to environment, it's not on drainage line, it's not go to physical planning. So these are checks that we also try to do to ensure that. So if you miss one line, you can be in trouble. That's actually the essence of it. So you can't just do a search in one place and go away.
So now it's gone beyond searching in just one department. You have to go through different, and I'm sure that's going to cost you more at some point.
It costs more, but the liability is what you save yourself is so much compared to the liability. Imagine someone parading a CFO, also another instance that I'm aware of. Parading a CFO that has been revoked like 5 years ago, but in the lands bureau is still showing that you can still obtain a CTC. So if you transact on that and you go and sell to third parties, it's just going to be a cycle of a chain of problem. So.
And definitely, at this time, we know that a lot of people are going through a cost of living crisis, and affordability, in the real estate market is a very big issue. What would you like to see, from the government to kind of assure Nigerians that somehow we can afford to, put a roof over our heads, even if it's renting or buying? What would you like to see from the government to actually make affordability a reality for the average Nigerian when it comes to real estate?
I think I would like to see the government be serious, intentional about mortgages, reducing the interest rate for mortgage. Let Nigerians be able to sincerely afford mortgage. Let them give them low interest rates. Let there be much more reduce interest rate to buy, to procure real estate properties. Material, let them give lower interest rates to manufacturing companies. Let cement price come down. Let reinforcement come down. Let there be palliatives for these people. That way, too, the common man will feel this. I'm not happy an organization becoming a $10 trillion company, and yet we are losing money. Things are so tight. The government should be able to step in there, provide some leverages that will affect the common man in these ways.
All right. I guess 2024 just started. Hopefully, we can get the housing market straight so that everyone can somehow be able to afford, to put a roof over our heads going forward. Thank you so much for coming on, Dr. Oyeleke Ajiboye, CEO, Efficacy Construction Limited. Thank you so much.